Welcome to Imam Ali's legacy for exploring the timeless wisdom of Imam Ali through the profound teachings of Najul Balagha. Our channel aims to shed light on the invaluable lessons and guidance imparted by Imam Ali, covering a wide range of topics including spirituality, leadership, justice, morality, and philosophy. Through detailed explanations, reflections, and insightful interpretations, we bring Imam Ali's words to life, helping you connect with his divine wisdom in today's world. Whether you're seeking spiritual growth, intellectual enlightenment, or simply a deeper understanding of the teachings of one of history's most influential leaders, this channel is for you. Join us as we embark on a journey of knowledge and inspiration straight from the sacred texts of Najul Balagha. Subscribe to stay updated with weekly content, including sermons, letters, and sayings of Imam Ali, along with their meanings and practical applications in our lives. Burial of the Holy Prophet. After the death prayers were performed, Imam Ali, Abbas Fazl ibn Abbas, and Usama ibn Zayd got busy with the arrangements of the burial of the Messenger of Allah. At the request of the Ansar, Aus ibn Kulli al-Ansari, who was also a Badr participant in the Badr campaign, was allowed to join them. Usama dug the grave in the house of Umm-ul-Mu'minin, mother of the faithful Isha. Oz got into the grave and Imam Ali lifted the sacred body in his hands and lowered it into the grave. He stayed in the grave for some time weeping bitterly. Usama says, "I have never seen Ali weeping like that before or after this occasion." Then Ali Len came out of the grave and, lifting his hands, said, "Lord, he was your first creation. His death is not a sign of mortality. He lifted the gloom prevailing before the creation started. He was a proof of your glory and benevolence. He had come to us from the realm of your love and glory and was our guide towards that realm. His soul was the emblem of your supreme might. His body was the masterpiece of your creation and his mind was your treasure house." Then he covered the grave shad of Sheikh al-Mufid. When Ali and Banu Hashim were busy with the last rites of the burial of the Messenger of Allah, some Muhajirin and Ansar gathered at the Sakufa Banu Sa'ida and decided, with the persuasion of Umar ibn al-Khattab, that Abu Bakr should be the first caliph, forgetting or pretending to have forgotten their oath of allegiance to Ali, successor of the Prophet, and Imam Ali, as the T, was asked to accede to this decision. He refused. Abu Sufyan came to Medina and went to Abbas, uncle of the Holy Prophet, and said to him, "People have taken away the caliphate from Banu Hashim. You are the uncle of the Messenger of Allah and the oldest among the tribesmen of Quraysh. You have been kind to them also. They will accept your leadership. Let you and I swear the oath of allegiance to Ali too. If anybody opposes us, we shall kill him." They both went to Ali. Abu Sufyan said to him, "Ali, if you like, I shall overthrow Medina with infantry and cavalry. Do accept our proposal. Stretch your hand and let us swear the oath of allegiance to you." Hearing this, Ali replied, "Abu Sufyan, I swear by Allah Almighty that you, through this proposal, want to create serious dissension among the Muslims. You have always tried to harm Islam. I do not need your sympathy or your help." Imam Ali realized that any serious dissension at this stage would harm the cause of Islam considerably. He had before him the example of the Holy Prophet, foretold by the Holy Fraternite and Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and had been of all that would happen. Allama Ali ibn Muhammad says, "The Holy Prophet had said to Imam Ali, your status is like that of the Kaaba. People, Muslims, approach the Kaaba, but this holy house never approaches anybody. Therefore, after my death, if people come to you and swear the oath of allegiance to you, accept it, and if they do not come to you, then you should not go to them." Allama Sheikh Abdul Haq, the traditionist al-Dalawi, says that the Holy Prophet advised Imam Ali Dahati, saying, "After me, you will have to face the extremes of suffering. Do not get disheartened and do not lose patience. And when you find people craving for and trying their utmost to secure worldly power and wealth, you mold your life for the hereafter." Imam Ali loved Islam as intensely as the Holy Prophet had loved it. He could not, therefore, for the sake of worldly kingdom, endanger Islam. He knew that a civil war at that stage would give chances to the Jewish clans of Banazir and Banu Quraza on one side and the Christian tribes of Najran and Syria by the Byzantine armies on the other. The Munafiqun, hypocrites, and fresh converts on the third would simply take advantage of the situation. When they found the Muslims busy killing each other, they would literally cut them into pieces and Islam would totally disappear as a message of peace. He wanted the Arabs to remain in the fold of Islam even with the desires of making their worldly status good, and wanted the enemies of Islam to realize that Islam was powerful enough to defend itself, even after the sad demise of the messenger of the Master. Therefore, he was willing to accept every wrong for the Islam and to retire to the seclusion of his house. The advice he gave to his uncle Abbas is to be found in Najl Balagha, wherein he told him not to join the turmoil. According to the famous Arab philosopher, mathematician, and physician Avicenna Abi Eli ibn Sina, Imam Ali and the Holy Quran were the two miracles of Muhammad's life of Imam Ali and the messenger of Allah. The Quran at every stage was a mirror like the reflection of the life of the Holy Prophet Sipanti. The days of Babar, Khaybar, and Hunain were not long past, and their hero still had the same courage, valor, bravery, and strength with him. He could have jumped at the proposal of Abu Sufyan. But had he done so, he would not have been Ali ibn Abi Talib, the man who loved Allah and his messenger, and was loved by Allah and his messenger. Death of Fatima, unfortunately, his feelings were not reciprocated. The following books provide an account of very serious events which happened at Imam Ali's refusal to accede to the decision at the sarcophagi. Kitab Imam wal Siyasa Walama bin Qutayba Bol IP 20, printed in Egypt. This book gives a very detailed account of Marid al-Daha by Almas UDP, 159 ml wall, Nihal of al-Sharistani wall. IP 25, printed in Bombay, India. Al-Faruq of al-Shibli or No Mani, printed in India. Ibn Abul Harid in his commentary on Najl Balagha. What one could gather from various accounts which these books have given is a sad and pathetic episode. It appears that though Imam Ali N decided to retire to the seclusion of his house and not to take any part in power politics, his house was burned down on his family and him. And either the burning door or a heart hit from the hilt of a sword or a heavy push or altogether broke the ribs and hand of Fatima Zantrum, daughter of the Holy Prophet. This caused her such a serious injury that the baby she was carrying was a stillbirth. Allama Sharistani in Al-Milal wa Nihal says that there was nobody in the house but Ali Li, Fatima and their children who were between the ages of 4 to 80. Apparently the assault was sudden and unexpected. Nobody was ready for it. The resulting confusion could be better imagined than narrated. The lady of the house was seriously hurt and had fainted. The house was full of smoke. The children were frightened. As Ali was attending to his wounded wife and suffocating children, he was overpowered and dragged from the house. Later, Fatima was refused her heritage. The physical injury and the mental shock laid her low, and after a short illness, she passed away on the 14th of Jamadul Awwal, 11 AH. She was buried in the dead of the night. Besides Banu Hashim, only the following companions of the Holy Prophet attended her funeral: Salman, Abda, Ammar, and Miqdad. Before the death, she had expressed her sufferings in a poem, a verse of which has come down in the Arabic language as a proverb. She says, "So many calamities have descended upon me that if they had descended upon bright days, they would have been turned into dark nights." The account of the last day of her life clearly shows what kind of a lady was this daughter of the Holy Prophet Nita. She told the household that she was feeling better. The pain in her ribs and in her hand was not so severe, and that her fever had come down. Then she started bathing the children. Immediately Ali and Fiza came to her assistance. She got the children bathed, dressed and fed, then sent them away to her cousin. Then she called Imam Ali to her side and said, "Ali man, my dear husband, you know very well why I did all that. Please excuse my fussness. They have suffered so much with me and during my illness that I want to see them happy on the last day of my life. Yes, Ali, you know also that this is the last day of my life. I am happy and also sad. Happy I am that my troubles will shortly be over and I shall meet my father. And I am sad because I shall part with you. Please, Ali Lai, make a note of what I say and do as I wish you to do. After me, you may marry anybody you like, but you must marry my cousin Yamama. She loves my children and Hussein is very much attached to her. Let Fixa remain with you even after her marriage if she so desires. She was more than a mere servant to me. I loved her like my daughter. Ali, bury me in the night, and do not let those who have been so cruel to me attend my burial. Let not my death dishearten you. You have to serve Islam and humanity for a long time to come. Let not my sufferings embitter your life. Promise me, Ali." Imam Ali said, "Yes, Fatima, I promise." "Ali," she continued, "I know how you love my children, but be very careful about Hussein Anek. He loves me dearly and will miss me sadly. Be a mother to him as well. Till my recent illness, He used to sleep on my chest. He is already missing it. Ali was by then caressing the broken hand. His hot and large tears had dropped on her hand. She looked up and said, "Do not weep, Ali. I know that despite an outwardly tough appearance, the heart you possess is quite tender. You have already borne too much and will have to bear more. Farewell. My name, farewell, my dear husband, farewell, Ali. Bid Fatima farewell." Hearing his farewell, she said, "May the merciful Master help you bear these sorrows and sufferings patiently. Now let me be alone with my God." Saying this, she turned towards her prayer mat and prostrated before Allah. After a short while, Imam Ali entered the room. He had found her still in prostration, but her soul had already departed to join her Holy Father in the realm of His grace, mercy and might. She died very young, as Imam Ali says. A flower nipped in the bud. She was a flower from paradise, and she went back to paradise, leaving the fragrance of paradise behind her in my mind. From 12 age to 24 age, from that time onward till 35 age, Imam Ali led a reclusive life. In the beginning, he spent his days compiling the Holy Quran in the chronological order of chapters and verses as they were revealed to the Holy Prophet. He presented this to the Muslims, but when its acceptance refused, he advised his companions to accept the Holy Book as compiled officially, saying that his compilation would not be seen by anybody, so that there might not come into existence more than one version of the Holy Quran, and might not create doubts about the authenticity of this sacred book. When Abu Sufyan found that Imam Ali was not paying attention to him, he tried to get in the good books of the government, and his eldest son Yazid was appointed as the governor of Syria, and on Yazid's death, his brother Muawiyah was appointed on the same post. During the caliphate of Abu Bakr, and more often during the time of Umar, whenever Ali's advice was asked for, he, like a true Muslim, offered his sincere advice. Although the people of Banu Hashim were never given any place of honor within the government, Ali did not mind this indifference, and whenever a serious problem arose and his counsel was sought, he cooperated wholeheartedly. The spirit of Islam says, from the commencement of the Islamic preaching, Imam Ali had extended the utmost consideration and friendship to the conquered. After the Battle of Qadisiyah, Ali used to devote his share of prize money to freeing of captives, and repeatedly, with his counsel and persuasive interference, he persuaded Umar to lighten the burden of subjects and captives. Imam Hakim in his Mustadrak and Ibn al-Adhar in his history say that until the year 17 AH, there was no calendar fixed by the Muslims. Sometimes, Amul Field year of the Abyssinian invasion of Mecca was considered as the beginning of an era. At other times, the Battle of Fujairah or pre-Islamic encounter between Arab clans was chosen. Still, others considered a time when repairs on the Kaaba were done as the year to mark the era. When this confusion was brought to the attention of Umar, he asked the advice of Imam Ali, who told him to begin the Muslim era from the year of the Hijrah migration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina. On another occasion, the people went to Umar saying that a lot of jewels and valuable articles and attachments in the Kaaba could be converted into currency and be used for arming the armies, proving to be a very useful asset. When Imam Ali's advice was sought, he said, these articles were there during the times of the Holy Prophet, but he did not touch them. Although Muslims were poorer then than now, and although they were more in need of arms and mounts then, but the Holy Prophet still did not make use of those ornaments for such purposes. It shows that the Messenger of Allah did not care much about such things. You also do not do it. Hearing this, Umar said, O Ali, had you not been here, we would have suffered a disgrace, according to Ray Aber of Alama Zamakshari. On the occasion of the invasion of Rome, when Umar sought his counsel as to the advisability of heading the army as the commander-in-chief, he advised him to be at the helm and to send some experienced general as a commander. This advice is narrated in a sermon in Nahj al-Balagha. Similarly, at the time of invasion of Iran, he counseled Umar not to leave the capital and to send somebody else. And Ulam of Imam Ghazali cited several such cases where the Imam's counsel was asked for, and he sincerely gave his advice. Only one case I want to relate shows in what high esteem Al-Ali held the value of the knowledge acquired, collected and preserved by man in the fields of philosophy, science, history, geography, and ethics. The following authors give a detailed account of the famous library of Iskandariya Alexandria in Egypt, Judge Abul Qasim Sa'd ibn Amr al-Andalusi, 462a in Tabat al-Umam. Haji Khalifa Chalpi in Kashf al-Zunian, Vol I Preface 4, printed in Egypt. The famous biography of Nadim El Faris, p34, printed in Egypt. The historian Jamal ad-Din, known as Ibn al-Kifti in Akbar al-Ulema wa Akbar Hukama, pp 2.32. 23, printed in Egypt and also in Leipzig, Germany. Imam Hafiz ad-Din Muhammad ibn Shal, known as Ibn al-Bataz al-Kami, 827 in Kitab Imam al-Azam wa IP 37, printed in Hyderabad, India. Alama Amd ibn Mustafa, known as Atash al-Kubra Zada, 962 in Miftah al-Sayada and Misbah al-Sayada, Vol 1p41, printed in Hyderabad, India. They are unanimous in saying that there was a fairly large library at Alexandria, Egypt. It contained between 5,000 to 7,000 books on papyri pall, leaves and parchments. A very large library indeed when compared with the standard of literacy and education of those days. It contained books on chemistry, astronomy, irrigation, engineering, physics, philosophy, and various religions itself. When Amr ibn Ayas conquered Egypt, he inquired as to what was to be done with those books. Orders were issued from the center that all of these books are according to the Holy Quran GIE. They say the same things which this holy book has said, then we do not need them. And if they say anything contrary to the Holy Quran, then we do not want them. Therefore, in either case, they ought to be burnt according to Akbalama Walan al-Hukamal of Ibn al-Qawti, p. 232 and 223, printed in Cairo and Leipzig. The History of Muhammad ibn abdicated by Lama Rashid Reader, editor, All Manar Cairo, Egypt, Vol. 1.535, Tabakat al-Umam of Judge Said al-Andalusi, as well as Oyat al-Bayanat of Mohsin al-Mulk, say that when Imam Ali heard the news of this, he tried to persuade them to refrain from such an order. He said, "Those books are treasures of knowledge and they cannot say anything against the Holy Quran. On the contrary, the knowledge contained therein would act as commentaries of this holy book and would assist and help in further explanations of the knowledge as presented by the Holy Prophet. N. The knowledge is an asset for human beings and a birthright of a man. It should not be destroyed." Akbar al-Ulema further states that his suggestion was not accepted and those books were distributed among 1,000 hot water bathhouses of Alexandria to be burnt as firewood. From 11 AH to 33 AH. Shortly before his death, Abu Bakr nominated Umar as his successor to the caliphate, and Umar, upon his death, appointed a board of 6 members to select his successor. The board considered 1 Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, and 2 Saad ibn Abu Waqqas, 3 Uthman ibn Affan, 4 and Talib ibn Abdullah, 550, all Zubair ibn al-Awam, and 6 Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, 11. The terms of reference for this council were as follows: if they unanimously selected a person, he would be designated as the caliph. If there was no unanimity, then that person would be caliph for whom Abdul Rahman ibn Auf and his party voted. If any 5 of them agreed on 1 man and the 6 disagreed, then the dissenter should immediately be killed. If any 4 of them agreed on 1 man, then 2 disagreed, then those 2 should be killed. If there was a tie, then the casting vote would be that of Abdullah ibn Umar, his son. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was a cousin of the Uthman and husband of the aunt of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and all Zubair was the son-in-law of Abu Bakr. Abdul Rahman withdrew his candidacy to the caliphate. Refer to Kitab al-Imam wal Siyasa of Muhammad and Qutb Ali al-Dainuri 270 HP 26, History of Ibn Khaldun, 2nd part, P. 34 to 136, printed in Egypt. In the council, the opinions were equally divided in favor of Imam Ali and Uthman. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf asked Imam Ali, "If you are selected as a caliph, do you promise that you will act according to the Holy Quran and the traditions and orders of the Prophet and according to the rulings and decisions of the previous 2 caliphs?" Imam Ali replied, "So far as the Holy Quran and the orders and traditions of the Holy Prophet they are concerned, I agree to abide by them and follow them faithfully and sincerely. But so far as the rulings and decisions of the previous 2 caliphs are concerned, if these are according to the Holy Book and the traditions of the Holy Prophet, who could dare refuse them? If they are against the orders of Allah or the Holy Prophet, who would dare accept and follow them? I refuse to bind myself with those rulings and decisions. I shall act according to my knowledge and my discretion." Then Abdul Rahman asked the same question of Uthman. The latter agreed not only to act according to the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet, but also to implicitly follow the rulings and the decisions of the previous 2 caliphs. Abdul Rahman declared Uthman as a Tabarari, Vol. 5p35 to 38, Vol. 1692 would be killed on p. 1334 to 1363, Abul Faida, p. 34-4. Razatul Safa, Vol. 2p98, Muharram 24H. Justice Said Amir Ali, in his book titled A Short Ray of the Saracens P46, says, the choice of electorate fell upon Othman, a member of the Umayyad family. Muharram 124H. November 7, 64-480. In the end, his election proved to be the ruin of Islam. He fell at once under the influence of his clan. He was guided entirely by his secretary and son-in-law Marwan, who had once been expelled by the Prophet for a breach of trust. With Ali's usual patriotism and devotion to the faith, he gave his adhesion to Othman as soon as he was elected. Othman displaced most of the lieutenants employed by Umar and appointed in their stead incompetent and worthless members of his own family. The weakness of the center and the weakness of the unworthy favorites was creating a great agitation among the people. Loud complaints of exaction and oppression by the governors began pouring into the capital. Ali then pleaded and tried to reason several times with the Caliph concerning the manner in which he allowed the government to fall into the hands of the unworthy favorites. But Othman, under the influence of his evil genius Marwan, paid no heed to the Imam's advice. Twice, Imam Ali was asked to leave Medina and to go to a village near it, and twice he was called back to intervene between the ruler and the ruled. A few sermons in Nahj al-Balagha has related these facts. To continue the version of the short history of the Saracen, at last a deputation from the provinces arrived in Medina to demand redress. They were sent back with the promises. On their way home, they intercepted a letter by Marwan, purporting to bear the seal of the Caliph. This letter contained directions to the local governors to behead the leaders of the deputation upon arrival of their destinations. Furious at this treachery, the representatives returned to Med and demanded the surrender of Marwan. This demand was requested even by members of the House of Umayyah, referred to all Mas'udis Murid al-Dahab. The ill-fated Othman met this demand with a stern refusal. Enraged at what they believed to be the complicity of the Caliph, they besieged him at his home. A Short History of the Saracen, pp. 47-48, narrating the details of the siege and the murder. Tariq al-Kamas 2p. 61262 Tariq al-Khulafa by all COTP and 8 Murid and all Dihab of all Mas'udi and all Raz al-Ladar of all 2p.25 say that at this hour of peril, the Umayyad deserted the old chief and some fled towards Syria. Muawiyah, though ordered by the Caliph, did not come to his help. On the contrary, the contingent which he sent to Medina was ordered to stop and stay at a place 30 miles away from Medina and wait for further orders. These orders never arrived until the Caliph was killed and the contingent was called back. But Imam Ali sent water and food to the Caliph during the siege and later. As per the Imam's orders, Othman was bravely defended by his sons and dependents. The insurgents had great difficulty in making any impression on the defenders. Therefore, on the 18th of Delhi 34 AH, some of these besiegers scaled a wall of a neighbor's house, entered the house of the Caliph and killed him inside his house. The people who were furious against the Caliph were in one. Tower. He played an important role in the siege and the cutting of water supply. He was commanding the group of the people who were bent upon killing Othman. On that account, Marwan killed him in the Battle of Jamal, as we read in Tabari Vol 16-15-4, Kamil ibn Adar Vol 470, and in Ibn Khaldun Vol 2p 397. This very Talua later came out as the avenger of murder of the Caliph and carried out the propaganda that Imam Ali was responsible for Othman's murder. He was one of the chief instigators of the Battle of Jamal. He had instigated the people to kill Othman with the hope of succeeding the caliphate. When he was frustrated with it, he launched a rebellion against Imam Ali in referred to Sermon 79 of Nahj al-Balagha. 2. Al-Zubayr al-Awam was considered the number one enemy of the Caliph. Mustadrak of Imam Hakim. Vol 2 IPN 18. Kitab al-Imam Vol Siyasa Vol VIP 58. Murid al-Dahab of Mas'udi Vol 2p 111. Later Al-Zubayr, with motives like those of Talwa, staged a rebellion against Ali and was the prime initiator for the Battle of Jamal. On the battlefield of Jamal, Imam Ali orders given to him by the Prophet and the Holy of the reminded Imam Ali and Al-Zubayr left the battlefield and was riding to Medina when he was killed by Umar ibn Jurnas, who was neither in Imam Ali's army nor his own companion. Imam Ali felt sad at Zubayr's death and said, although he later turned into a bitter enemy of mine, in the early days of Islam, he was a good defender of the cause of religion, referred to Sermon 12.3. Emir ibn Als was the third bitter enemy of Othman. Tabari gives a detailed account of the way he insulted the Caliph in the mosque and says, nobody was more pleased at the murder of Othman than Amr ibn al-As. The reason was that he had been deposed from the governorship of Egypt by the third caliph. Later, this Umar joined Muawiyah as a claimant for retribution of the murder of Uthman. When the events from year 11 AH to 34 AH were unfolding, Imam Ali took no part in the affairs of the state. In the words of the History of Saracens, he was endeavoring in Medina to give an intellectual turn to the then early developed energy of the Saracenic race. In the public mosque at Medina, he delivered weekly lectures on philosophy, logic, history, explanation of the traditions of the Holy Prophet and the verses of the Holy Quran, as well as Muslim law and rhetoric. Thus, he formed the nucleus of the intellectual movement which displayed itself in such a great force in the later days. Those lectures and sermons were compiled during 40 years following his death by Zayd ibn Wahab al-Juni Rijal al-Kabir. Many of them were lost, but some of them are preserved in Nahj al-Balag Mas UD.